My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Well, I took a little moment to come on here just to kind of give you all a little update as to how things are and how things might be for a while. And I'd say I've just kind of gotten pretty busy these days. And, it just so happens that we're expecting some snow tonight in my area, but it's all likely to melt before morning given our temperatures. So we don't know what all to expect, but kind of get on here just for a moment just to kind of give you all little updates as to all I've been doing lately. And for one thing, I kind of wanted to introduce you all to these little dachshund dogs. And this is a pattern I recently came up with because I had to draw on a certain piece of wood, a kind of a design or a shape that would fit the scrap of wood from the African mahogany that I originally did it on. And I had some pieces of walnut that I traced it over to when it came to that. But this is like a new little pattern for a dachshund, and you can kind of see how the ear and the body are turning out here a little better, and how we kind of got it a little bit on the other side of the other one. And just yesterday I was cutting a couple of them out of walnut too. And I'll tell you a little thing about that was that as I was kind of cutting the scraps away, after I turned the bandsaw off, I reached onto the table of the saw to pick up a few scraps, and with that little blade was still spinning around right after I turned it off, so I wasn't watching for that and got a little nick on my thumb, but we got that taken care of. It wasn't deep enough for stitches or nothing like that, so it just wasn't that bad, and we took care of that. And and there's times when I've debated just a little bit as to what to carve next. I still have one of my walnut Dobermans. Last year I made a couple of, but that's another thing where I happen to have two little scraps of something or another. I think mahogany, Guanacaste, Spanish cedar, something like that. I'm going to have to kind of smell or taste or burn or cut the wood to try to figure out exactly what it is. Take a little closer look, probably try the density out, see what that tells me. But that's another set of Dobermans to carve. And last year I carved some German Shepherds out of sassafras and sold both of them. And since that time, I've cut a couple more German Shepherd blanks out of pecan. This one kind of stays in my carving bag, and the other one is in my box of blanks that I have over in the woodworking area. And it just so happened that whenever I kind of got started carving the little German Shepherds, there's some people who own a German Shepherd Rescue who kind of got into contact with me, and they wanted to buy some. So they kind of, when they kind of came to Lexington for a comedy show, they live in Somerset or McCreary, somewhere like that, and came here and came to my door and purchased them. That was kind of the good little thing they did. And so that's one of the next things we might debate, whether to carve the ones we make out of pecan wood. And there's also, a couple of little bull terriers that I carved last year out of something. I think it was probably Tupelo or Buckeye or something like that, but I cut a couple of blanks for them out of tamarind. And That's something I have yet to carve sometime, see how it goes. And I made a couple of Great Danes out of tamarind, and I think I sold at least one. And so that's just where that work has come along. I've already carved a little retriever out of poplar, and it was supposed to come out as a black lab because the piece of poplar that this was cut off of was one which, in the past, when things were made from that piece, they would be soaked in the boiled linseed oil and they would turn black when they were meant to stay green. And that was why I thought that the poplar I cut these blanks from was going to turn black after I soaked it, but the last one of these retrievers I carved, I soaked it and it came out green, so I just kind of decided to call it a little green retriever. That was kind of the only, really only the name I could come up with it, and so that's how it's come along on the little dog blanks. And there's some things that are going to be posted as soon as the whole project is finished, but I've probably shown before how I've power carved these hippos out of the Purple Heart, these adult hippos, and as for now, I say that we kind of got little baby hippos, a couple babies to go with one of them, and a couple more babies to go with the other one, just to kind of see how that goes and how it's going to do, and we're going to kind of put it all together once we get finished with it. And I've already kind of sanded off all the little black marks that came from the power carver on these little hippos here and for the babies. And just when we come down to it, I mean, have a little more work to do on these as well. Kind of used a detail knife to scrape some of it off, and that was how that just worked along as best as we could do it. And for all things, I say that there's some sets of little bear cubs I've made from the scraps I've had cut out for a long time, and I made these ones here out of walnut, made these ones here out of cherry. As soon as all the bear cubs are made, there's going to be pictures posted, but I have also kind of started working on and carved out and sanded these ones that I made from mahogany, because I kind of took the same little scrap where I kind of had an original bear blank that I had to cut off a piece of because it just wasn't fit to be carved, and came up with the shape that way and decided to cut many more of these little bears from the same shape of a pattern and come out with those cubs. So that is how we have come out with that. And I'd say that just to kind of give y'all, I've shown y'all some domestic dogs and some wild animals, and to show y'all a little wild dog thing, I had these little coyotes here. I have a couple little blanks for coyotes that I cut out of sassafras, and a couple little ones that I cut out of walnut. I had carved a couple of them out of Kentucky coffee tree last year, and sold both of those at my shows. And I'd say yes for whenever I trace the patterns on and cut them out here at home. I had them at my guild the other day and noticed that on one side, even though the tail is drawn out on both sides of all of them now, there was one side on each of them that I forgot to draw a line for the tail, and I didn't have the pattern there with me to do it with and according to. So that is kind of the reason why that was something I couldn't work on there at the time, but I came up with this little here, and then that's going to be another little thing we're going to start working on and start carving in the future, and try to get a little more business done as far as what all we kind of have to do just to kind of make little things happen and work for us. And I'm knocking this over because I'm having to reach for my blanks. They're falling over, and that's just where we come with the sign that work is coming a long way. I hope to share more soon. This video couldn't be made very long because I kind of had to sort of narrow it down to just what it could be. Probably don't have a lot of time to spend on here anyway, and I've been kind of tired in the mornings, getting less sleep on the weekends just because of the way my schedule's kind of had to even out. And I'll just have so much to say as time goes on because, there's been some new friends coming into my life, and things have been kind of getting a little bit different here and there as far as they are concerned. And we're all kind of trying to get to know each other these days, and it can be a struggle, but I always appreciate those of you all who come on to watch to see what I do and hear what I make and just learn all about the way a little work can accomplish so much. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.